Well, it worked this time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, Mr. David Null, aka also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. Now, I've done a couple of videos recently, and I referred to the moons of Jupiter and some things. And somebody asked me in one of the chat rooms that I just did what you said, and I can't find that information. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now, I'm strict with stuff. I have to go over something a couple of times before I even try to post something. So, if I do misinformation or I've said something wrong, I want to correct it right away. So here I go. This isn't supposed to be very long, but it seems that I need to do a little bit more information about some of these new things that are. Now, let me say first off the bat, that I can't find the current information that I read yesterday or the day before. It might have been 2 days ago, but said that there was a newer moon around Jupiter. And that's how I started into this. Well, how many moons does Jupiter have? And I said 100 or so or something. I misspoke, but I wasn't too far off in that there's 79 moons, and I'm not sure. I still can't find the article yesterday that I saw. It was posted out there somewhere, so it was like it was in the news. So it wasn't like it was some obscure thing per se, but I was like, "Oh, look at this. Let me read this here." But anyway, I haven't been able to find that article. Now, I did find out where I was uh, claiming that six of the moons had like left or they couldn't find them or whatever. I was almost correct with that. There's seven. Now, somebody said, well, I looked on Wikipedia where you said it was Hawkeye and it wasn't there. Well, here we go. I'm on Wikipedia and I typed in, I can't share the screen with this. I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I typed in at Wikipedia moons of Jupiter. Or wait, let me go back up. Yeah, moons of Jupiter. Okay. And it talks about irregular satellites, prograde, incline, planetary masses, all kinds of stuff. Okay. And as you go down the page, there's characteristics, origin and evolution. I'm not going to go through this, but you can please read it. It's interesting. The discovery of these different moons, the timeline, so forth. You go on down, then there's naming of the moons. Okay, going on down, there are groups. There's a The next title is called groups. There are regular satellites, inner or the Amalthea group. Then there's the main group or the Galilean moons. There are irregular satellites, and so they've got prograde, retrograde, and an Anunnaki group, Pasiphae group, and then it comes down to the list. All right. So this is down the page a bit. It says the moons of Jupiter are listed below by orbital period. Moons massive enough for their surfaces to have collapsed into a spheroid are highlighted in bold. These are the four Galilean moons, which are comparable in size to our moon. The other moons are much smaller, with the least massive Galilean moon being more than 7,000 times more massive than the most massive of all the other moons. Now, a couple more lines down, all orbits are based on the estimated orbit of the Julian calendar, or 3 September 2017. As several moons of Jupiter are currently lost, these orbital elements may only be rough approximation. As of 2018, 7 satellites are considered to be lost, and then they name them. A number of other moons have only been observed for a year or two, but have decent enough orbits to be easily measurable even in 2018. Okay, so I was correct in that I had the number wrong, but there are, as of 2018, 7 satellites are considered to be lost, and they name them. There's no sense in me giving them to you. They're numbers. But to the point, though, yes, I was correct about that. And it started about 2017. Some of these were lost, so they weren't lost automatically and right off the bat. Now I can't. I'm going to continue to try to find um, where I screwed up on that article about this new moon because it was like going around Jupiter instead of orbiting it this way. And that's what started me on this. Holy cow. Now, the total number of moons of Jupiter right now is 79. And I said, well, there was I noticed there was over 100. Yeah, I thought it was, but I realized that I had included that in with some other information on a totally another subject. So my deepest apologies for stating that it was over over 100. But the current total number as of today, November 10th, 2018, is the total number at current time. You know what? I'm not sure if it includes the 7 they lost, but it's 79, give or take a few. That's still a whole lot more than I thought there was. I thought maybe 12, 15, okay, maybe 20, but now they're like, well, some of these rocks aren't too big. And the interesting thing that I just read was like, well, it's 7,000 times more dense than something else. How do they know? I mean, I continue to ask this question. They're using a hypothesis and, well, it orbits this way. And well, how do they know? Well, it's this size and they can measure it. Okay, I can get that. But they're trying to say, well, it has this certain mass of blah, blah, blah. You're looking at a disk, a piece of rock floating around, and then you're going to try to tell me that its mass is a particular thing? What if the darn thing's hollow? What? Yeah, what if it's hollow? And then in part of this, the Wikipedia, it says that some of the moons are supposed to possibly have subterranean water sources. So some of the Galilean moons, the biggest is as big as our moon. So look up in the sky, look at the moon and go, all right. But the thing is that, okay, now the smaller ones, and they're saying maybe it's 13 meters in width. Okay, let's go with 10 meters. That's about 3 feet per meter. A meter is approximately a yard. We're going to round off, just go with me here, but we're talking 30 feet. So the fact that you could see a 30-foot object going around Jupiter, well, that's pretty impressive in my opinion. But the thing is like, well, how did they lose 7? I've said 6 earlier. They're probably scratching their heads saying the same thing. Well, it's a rock. Are you sure? Well, we're looking at it with a high-powered telescope. Now, I just want to say, I'm sorry, in some of this stuff that I just don't trust the science they're using. They're like, well, we looked up there, we took a thingy and we watched it and it's rotated and therefore we can assume, or no, they don't tell you. They're stating this as a matter of fact. Now, I wish they would say, we assume that the mass of this object would be approximately like this. But no, they say, matter of factly, like they went out into space and weighed the damn thing. This is how dense it is. I'm sorry. Now there's two sides of this. Do they know something they're not telling us with the science? And I'm saying that some of these guys know science. They're not telling the rest of us. But at the same time, they're covering up their same story. I still don't. How you're looking at an object. Now, I could take a tennis ball. Okay, I could take a baseball. They're about the same size, but a tennis ball's hollow and a baseball ain't. Now, if I was to take both of those out into a field, and if you didn't know the difference, they were just 2 round objects, you would go, woo, there's one and there's the other. Now, unless you knew that one was a tennis ball and the other was baseball, if they were just 2 round objects, how are you going to be able to say that both of those things had the same flipping mass? One's a tennis ball, one's a baseball. But I'm looking at them through a pair of binoculars, and they're just 2 round objects. So I'm observing them, and I'm going to say, well, if I had a solid object, if it's solid, then the mass should be. Well, what if it's made of paper mache versus iron? Well, iron's more dense than paper mache. So, but how do we know that it's not made out of paper mache? I'm just using this as an example. Paper mache is much lighter versus the density of steel or nickel or iron or something, okay? So they're saying, we know what the density is. How? Well, we looked at it. Well, I put 2 balls out in the field, and one was this and that was that. But how do I know that it's that How do I know that the tennis ball is hollow and very light compared to the baseball? So these silly people, and I'm sorry, and they're trying to make explanations for things when I have to just look at the dang thing and go, please, 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 please tell me how you arrived at this. Now, in your equation, I ask you please to say this. We hypothesize, because of its diameter, if it were solid of a mixed kind of thing, the mass should approximate this. They don't. They state it as a fact. And that's where I have issue with this. How do you know it's not hollow? How do you know it's not a tennis ball? How do you know it's not a cannonball? Well, we looked at it. We observed it. Okay. But they're referring to the mass of all of them like they know what they are. Like they've been out there, knocked on the thing, went, hello. Now, to my other point of this, what if they actually have been out there? What if some of our space patrol and the secret stuff, what if they actually have been to some of these things? And so they're giving us correct numbers, but they're lying to us about how they achieved the equation. Now, I could buy that. I actually could, Well, how do you know the mass is that? Well, shh, quiet. We sent a team up there and they landed on the damn thing. Okay. All right. But you could still use the word hypothetical. I mean, WikiLeaks is very matter of fact with a lot of this stuff, and it's backed by all these articles and all these scientists. And I'm okay. They show the orbits of these things, they're observing these things, but there's something funky in their equation. How do you know it's not a tennis ball versus a baseball versus a cannonball? How can you tell me that this is your answer, final answer, that's it? And I'm saying, no, come on, guys. At least tell us, we think, based on this, no, but they just matter of fact, it's this mass and it's that, and it's 7,000 times something else that they really don't know if it's the true mass or not. It's a hypothetical theory again. It's all theoretical. And so, but they're trying to convince us it's the law, it's the rule. You don't argue with me. This is the mass and you're an idiot. Talking about me. Okay. I am an idiot. I agree. I am idiot to believe that some of the science you're trying to tell me about is ludicrous. Tell me the truth, please. It's a hypothetical based on these facts. Not that this is the truth and there's no argument there, please. Sorry. Now, while I'm sort of on the subject of this, there's also some things going on with Saturn right now. Now, I've been keeping an eye on Saturn over the years, and there's like this hexagram kind of thing, swirly, whirly, dirly thing on top of the poles. Now they want to, this is this and that's that and yada yada, and well, isn't that interesting? Those are vortex types of things, and there have been some strange things going on around Saturn. I mean, many years ago, there were some telescopic things, there were some satellite images, and when some of us went through some of that stuff, we found all kinds of things in the rings of Saturn. Oh, man, you talk about cigar-shaped things. There was something that looked exactly, well, I say exactly, it resembled greatly the Oumuamua that just went through and probed us all, okay? And it was very similar in orbit in the rings of Saturn. I don't know, about 10 years ago, because I was looking at the pictures and there was a discussion about it. And it was like, look at this mess. And then, of course, things get scrubbed. I can't find the article now. And it's like, well, I'm going to bookmark them. And then I try to go back and I get this 404 error with the monkey going, the page you've been looking for, that just happened before I started this video. So it's like, I know I read that damn thing, but to the point about some of the other corrections that I'm making now, it is in the Wikipedia when you go all the way down to the list, and in that it says seven of the satellites that have been missing since about 2017. and that was up to 2018. Is the current number is 79. So that's, I read that off earlier, but please, the person who questioned me about it, I was like, well, I know I saw it, but so I had to go back in and look, and that's why I'm doing this video. I'm making a correction on my own. But guess what? Instead of 100 plus, there are 79 moons. And again, some of the information on the Wikipedia page, mind you, about this density and all this other kind of stuff. I ask you to just put in your head, well, that's a hypothesis. They can't really prove that statement unless they've been there and tapped on the damn thing. Because otherwise, you're looking through a pair of binoculars at a tennis ball, a baseball, or cannonball. Which is more dense? Cannonball. Well, how are you going to know unless you picked one up? How are you going to know unless you went out and tapped on the thing? How would you know unless you went out and squished the softy one, the tennis ball? You're not going to know. So for them to just be looking at something thousands and millions of miles away and claiming they know what it's made out of and what its density is pure BS, my friends. Can they, if they said the hypothesis is, I'm repeating myself, but I'm saying they should state the truth. We have a hypothesis based on these facts. No, they state these facts are correct, and everything we're telling you about these other moons are based on the facts that they haven't really proved to you and me. So again, they're trying to state things that's an idea. It's a guess. They're assuming. And they're trying to make an ass out of you and me. Assume you, me, So, but to the point though, it's like, I'm not falling for it. And part of my job as a watchman and as someone is, let's have a discussion about this. Are these people idiots? No, I think there's something else going on. Now, at the same time, they're making assumptions based on other certain facts. I mean, they went and rang the bell on the moon several years ago and set off like a little bomby type thing. And it rang like a bell for an hour or hours. It just kept going. So what they thought was a solid ball of our moon, they proved by doing an experiment that the dang thing is hollow up to a point. So to the same point, how can they make the same judgment about something that's way out there around another planet that they know what it is? They don't. It's a hypothesis. So my dear friends, I suggest, if you're interested in astronomical bodies and some of these things, it's an interesting read. Some of these paragraphs are a little like, what? I've got to go over them a couple times. So me reading them to you isn't going to do any good. But read them for yourself. It is on Wikipedia, and it's moons of Jupiter is what I typed in. Okay. And it's down where list is that it says missing 7 satellites since 2017. Current list 2018 79. Okay, that I got it up on the page over here, so it is there. I did just check it. That's why I'm doing this video. I hope that I didn't mislead anybody. Part of what I said was true. I had the number wrong, and I had a couple of other things miscued. And if I find that other article about this new moon of Jupiter that's going around it this way instead of this way, I'll let you know. Okay. But the thing is about this science, and I'm going to do a separate video on this, on stupid science. Some of these things, they should tell us these are theoretical thoughts or hypotheticals. Hypothetically, if this were true, then this is what it's like. They should say that. They're not. And they're either hiding the truth, or it's weird science that they're still trying to get us to swallow. And I'm saying either way, they need to tell us the truth. If it's in a hypothesis, like the speed of light, as an example, when I did checking on the speed of light, come to find out it's an average, because the different tests were that they had an observer effect. So the observer affected the test for the speed of light. And I went back through this and I was amazed. And I was like, hang on a second. You're trying to tell me that the speed of light is constant. It's not. Go back and do the research and you find out they took an average. Well, we think it's about this fast. So, but all of our science is based on a hypothesis and an average. When they try to tell us in all of the equations that the speed of light is a constant, it's not, it's an average. Surprise. So how can they tell us what the density and et cetera and the mass of these objects are? They can't, because they're lying about the speed of light. Well, it's an average. Yeah. Tell us the truth, please. Put it out there. Well, we streamline it for you stupid folk out there. Oh, the speed of light is constant. No, it's not. Well, why don't they say the speed of light is an average and this is the constant we use? Okay, fine. Well, they dropped off all the peripheral stuff and said, no, this is absolutely the speed of light. You mean it could actually be faster or slower? Then what are you trying to say? Lies, lies, lies. Now, to the point, there are ways they can tell the truth without having to backtrack. Like I just said, they can state clinically, we use this as our constant, but how we arrived at the speed of light is actually an average of many tests done. Thank you. But they don't say that. They hide it. They say that it is constant. So if I were to do my own experiments on something and I was like, wait a minute, my figures are off. They're trying to tell me it's this fast. And what? Am I doing the test wrong? And it's the observer effect plus other things. But to the point, it's like, wait a minute. If I could calculate that, I would be able to hang on. You're trying to tell me that my test is wrong? Well, shh, Dave, quiet. It's an average. Chill out. Oh, I see. You follow me? So anyway, the full disclosure on some of this stuff. Come on, guys, let's tell the truth. Like, for example, in 1838, 180 years ago, approximately, they started talking about quantum physics. And they're trying to make believe that it's just 20 years old. They've been studying this stuff for 180 years. What else do they know? They're hiding behind these hyperboles and things. So just keep your eyes open. When they try to tell you something, look at the sentence and how they're trying to describe it to you, because sometimes they lie in the same sentence. They tell you one thing at the beginning, and at the end of the sentence or the paragraph, you're confused. That's on purpose. So love y'all. Call me PP. Measure instruments. The instruments they used, and I used to work in what is called metrology. And in the manufacturing industry, metrology are those types of things that measure stuff. And we measured stuff to about 100th of a human hair. Now, depending on the human hair, it's about 7 to 10 thousandths. And I was working with things that was like 0.0001, 4 decimal places, very small. It takes laser kind of sightings and precision equipment that is unbelievable. And even in a lab situation, what you think it might be, it ain't. So to be able to look with their instruments through some of this stuff and gauge and tell me that it's not a tennis ball, that it's a softball or baseball, or that it's not a cannonball, you can't tell me that by looking at it. They've got all kinds of instruments. I've played with some of those kinds of instruments. I've worked in the chemistry field. I know about spectrographs. I know in working with metals, if we wanted to find out the correct amount of chromium or steel or whatever in a particular metal, you do what's called a spark test. And you look at the sparks coming off of it and read it through a spectrograph. And it will tell you very accurately if there's any nickel or chrome or whatever's in it. And it'll show up in the sparks. It's the spark test. Old timers, I could look at it, when I was working in the field, and I could say, there's not enough green in there, or there should be some blue and reds in there. There should, when you spark test a piece of metal. And it was like, what? Sure enough, you'd run it through the analysis and you'd find out that a lot of times those old machinists like me, we might not be able to give you the exact quantity, but we could tell you there ain't enough steel in that, or there's not enough chromium, whatever the thing is. And, old machinists just learned, whoops, there's something wrong with that. We didn't heat treat it right or something. But to the point, though, even when you're up close to something, what you think it is, it's not. And that's my point. With all my years of working in machining and metrology and measuring and building things, I mean intricate things for the auto industry and other things, and for I helped build jet engine blades. I built the gauges for these things. The tolerances were unbelievable. For Pratt and Whitney engines, for Rolls-Royce, a bunch of different types of blades. And I was one of the people at the time in the Thomasville plant. It's changed hands a few times, but they're still building blades there. But I was one of the few people when they came up with this new type of metal, how we could actually machine the stuff. And it's called Inconel. Oh, no, my God. The hotter it gets, the harder it gets. That's why they use it in certain stages of jet engines. You can't break it because when it's 13th stage near where the combustion chamber is in a jet engine, it gets really hot. So they were having issues with blades near that particular stage in the 12th and 13th stage. So they went to a metal that as you heat it, it gets harder, it gets stronger. So if you're trying to machine the thing, any kind of heat that you put on it is going to make it progressively harder to machine. Oh, man. But we did it. We were one of the few places in the world who could do this. And we worked out a way to do it. So, yes, I have been in this. Yes, I've been in with, yes, I've worked with chemists. And that's my point to this. Some of this stuff they're trying to tell us, you really can't prove it. You may have some really damn good instruments, but unless you're doing a spark test or something, the information you're getting is just supposition. So that's my point. We need to take this with a grain of salt and go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, well, that's a nice theory, because basically that's what it is. They're theorizing because of something in their particular office. This is what they think it is. So be kind to yourself with that. They tell the truth some of the time, but a lot of it's like nonsense around it. So just look at things now when you read certain articles and stuff and go, what did they just say? Oh, we found these, but oh, by the way, down here, and comments are made out of ice and dust, and I'm not going to go back into that one again. But anyway, so I love you all for hanging out. Thank you. Call me Pappy. I hope that I got that right. Thank you for subscribing. I love you all immensely. I do. I'm trying to be the grown-up in the room and say, hey, let's look at what's going on around us. What are they telling us? And can they really prove what they say? Or is this just supposition? And I mean this on a lot of levels, not just in science and astronomy and that type of thing. There are a lot of other areas they're not telling us the truth about too. But I digress. So much love to you. Have a good rest of the Saturday night, and I hope you have a wonderful tomorrow on Sunday. And it's cold tonight down here in South Georgia, but clear. Supposed to be some meteor showers. So I'm going to go out and check the outside. They were chemtrailing us down here today. Oh my God. Crisscrossing every 20 minutes. There was another one. I didn't even have to go outside. I could see them through the window. Horrible. So, but maybe some of it's settled by now. But I continue to wonder, what are they trying to cover up? But anyway, tonight should be a clear night. I'm going to go out and see if there's any stars. I'm going to try to do an Earth wobble update. I'm going to check. I need to go out and check where Jupiter's already set. It would be Uranus, Mars, and Neptune are still up. And so I can check where the Earth is in wobble by going out and checking the position of the planets. And here shortly, within the next hour or so, Orion should be coming up, and Pleiades, so I can reference that too, by the way. And since Call me Pappy. In case you've not seen some of my other videos, my discussion about the earth wobble, I've been recording it for at least 2 years now, if not longer. And that I use a single position in my yard to always observe where things are. And so, and what I've observed is in the course of one night, the earth will wobble as much as 20 degrees in one night. I see Orion come up in the east and then it sets in the southwest. Ain't supposed to happen. So I encourage other people to go out at just not once, but go out at several times, give it a couple hours and go out. Because if the North Star is here, that nothing should set in the southwest. I don't care where you live. It's supposed to move towards the west, slightly northwest, because of the center. Polaris, our North Star, is where the zodiac revolves around. So if something sets in the southwest, where it should be west, we're obvious something's going on. And all of those constellations aren't moving. The earth is wobbling, and it's wobbling on a daily basis. That's why, one of the reasons why the weather is so weird. The earth is wobbling. The oceans can't keep up, and neither can the jet streams in our atmosphere. Everything's out of balance because the earth is out of balance and wobbling so much. Why are earthquakes and everything going on? The earth is out of balance. So let's pray for each other, pray for the earth. Let's send everybody good energy and stop the hate, negotiate, let's debate, and then let's settle things. Come up with a solution. So love to you all. And as always, I pray for you and your family, all your relatives and kin, and all of your relations, that you will accept and receive the blessings from the Creator and from the universe, and that you will have the understanding and the knowledge that we all need and deserve. I thank you all. Blessings to everyone. I love you for what you do, and that you come and hang out with me, and just take what I say with a grain of salt, and just wait a minute, something might be different here. So that's my job as a light worker and a crazy person, and as my shamanic journey. So thank you all very much. Until next time, be safe tonight. I'm going to go have to build a fire somewhere and get my feet warm. So much love to you all. Until next time, bye.